Parshat, Emor, chapter 21. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Speak to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, A Kohen is not to allow himself to become unclean for the dead among his people, except for his relatives that are nearest to him, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, his brother, or his virgin sister who is near to him, who had no husband. For her he may allow himself to become unclean. But he is not to defile himself, a husband among his people, and so profane himself. Kohanim are not to shave their heads, nor shave off the corners of their beards, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. They are to be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God. For they present the offerings of Adonai made by fire, the bread of their God. Therefore they are to be holy. They are not to marry women who are defiled as prostitutes or profane. Neither shall they marry women divorced from their husbands, for a Kohen is holy to his God. Therefore you are to sanctify him, because he offers the bread of your God. He shall be holy to you, for I, Adonai, who sanctifies you, am holy. The daughter of any Kohen, if she profanes herself by playing the prostitute, profanes her father, she is to be burned with fire. He who is a Kohen Gadol among his brothers, among whose head the anointing oil is poured and is consecrated to put on the garments, is not to let the hair of his head hang loose or tear his clothes, nor shall he go near any dead person defiling himself, even for his father or his mother. He is not to go out of the sanctuary or profane the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of the anointing oil of God is upon him. I am Adonai. He shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow, or one divorced, or one who has been defiled as a prostitute. He is not to marry. He is to take a virgin from his own people as a wife, so as not to corrupt his offspring among his people. For I am Adonai who sanctifies him. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Say to Aaron, None of your offspring throughout their generations who has any defect may approach to offer the food of his God. Any man who has a defect is not to draw near. No one blind or lame or disfigured or deformed, or a man who has a crippled foot or a crippled hand or a hunchback or dwarf, or who has an eye defect or a rash or scabs, or who has damaged testicles. None of the offspring of Aaron the Kohen who has a defect shall come near to present the offerings of Adonai made by fire. Since he has a defect, he is not to come near to offer the food of his God. He may eat the food of his God, both from the most holy and the holy, but he is not to approach the curtain or come near the altar, because of the defect on him, so that he may not desecrate my sanctuaries. For I am Adonai who sanctifies him. So Moses spoke to Aaron and to his sons and to all Bnei Israel. Chapter 22. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Aaron and his sons to separate themselves from the holy things of Bnei Israel, which they consecrate to me, so that they would not profane my holy name. I am Adonai. Tell them, if any one of all your offspring throughout your generations approaches the holy things, which Bnei Israel consecrate to Adonai, while in a state of uncleanness, that soul will be cut off from before me. I am Adonai. None of the offspring of Aaron who has any za'arat or has a discharge shall eat of the holy things until he is clean. Whoever touches anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed discharges from him, or who touches any creeping thing that may make him unclean, or a person who is unclean, whatever his uncleanness, the person who touches any such thing will be unclean until the evening, and is not to eat of the holy things, unless he has bathed his body in water. When the sun sets, he will become clean, and afterward he may eat of the holy things, because it is his food. A carcass, or what is torn by beasts, he is not to eat, becoming unclean by it. I am Adonai. Therefore Kohanim shall keep my charge, so that they do not become guilty of sin and die should they profane it. I am Adonai who sanctifies them. No layman is to eat from the holy offering. A foreigner living with the Kohanim or a hired servant is not to eat from the holy offering. But if a Kohen buys a slave purchased by his money, that one may eat from it. Also those born in his house may eat his food. If a Kohen's daughter is married to a layman, she is not to eat from the gifts of the holy offerings. But a Kohen's daughter is a widow or divorced and has no child and has returned to her father's house as in her youth, she may eat from her father's food, but no layman may eat any of it. If anyone eats something holy unwittingly, then he is to add a fifth to it and give the holy offering to the Kohen. They are not to profane the holy offerings of Bnei Israel, which they lift up to Adonai, so causing them to bear the iniquity that brings guilt when they eat the holy offerings. I am Adonai who sanctifies them. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons and to all Bnei Israel, and say to them, Whoever is from the house of Israel, or one of the outsiders in Israel who brings his offering, whether it be any of their vows or any of their freewill offerings that they present to Adonai for a burnt offering, for you to be accepted, you are to offer a male without blemish from the bulls, the sheep, or the goats. But whatever has a blemish you are not to present, for it will not be acceptable on your behalf. Whoever brings a sacrifice of fellowship offerings to Adonai to fulfill a vow or a freewill offering, either from the herd or the flock, it must be unblemished to be accepted. There must be no defect on it. The blind, injured, maimed, having an abnormal growth or festering or a running sore are not to be offered to Adonai, or given as an offering by fire on the altar to Adonai. For a freewill offering you may present a bull or a lamb that has any deformity or lacking in its parts, but for a vow it will not be accepted. Whatever has its testicles bruised, crushed, broken, or cut off, you are not to offer to Adonai, nor are you to do so in your own land. Moreover, you are not to offer the food of your God from the hand of an outsider from any of these animals, for their corruption is within them, for they have a defect. They will not be accepted on your behalf. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, When a bull, sheep, goat is born, then it is to remain 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day onward it will be accepted as a gift of an offering made by fire to Adonai. If it is a cow or ewe, you are not to slaughter it along with its young both in 1 day. When you offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving to Adonai, you are to present it so you may be accepted. It is to be eaten on the same day. You are to leave none of it until morning. I am Adonai. So you are to keep my mitzvot and do them. I am Adonai. You must not profane my holy name, for I will be made holy among Bnei Israel. I am Adonai, who makes you holy, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai. Chapter 23. Then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel and tell them, These are the appointed Moedim of Adonai, which you are to proclaim to be holy convocations, my Moedim. Work may be done for 6 days, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You are not to do any work. It is a Shabbat to Adonai in all your dwellings. These are the appointed feasts of Adonai, holy convocations, which you are to proclaim in their appointed season. During the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month in the evening, is Adonai's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of Matzah to Adonai. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the 1st day you are to have a holy convocation, and you shall do no regular work. Instead, you are to present an offering made by fire to Adonai for 7 days. On the 7th day is a holy convocation, when you are to do no regular work. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel and tell them, When you have come into the land which I give to you and reap its harvest, then you are to bring the omer of the firstfruits of your harvest to the Kohen. He is to wave the Emor before Adonai, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the Kohen is to wave it. On the day when you wave the Emor, you are to offer a male lamb without blemish, 1 year old, as a burnt offering to Adonai. The grain offering with it shall be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Adonai for a soothing aroma. Its drink offering with it shall be 1/4 of a gallon of wine. You are not to eat bread, roasted grain, or fresh grain until this same day, until you have brought the offering of your God. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Then you are to count from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the Emor of the wave offering, 7 complete Shabbatot. Until the morrow after the 7th Shabbat, you are to count 50 days, and then present a new grain offering to Adonai. You are to bring out of your houses 2 loaves of bread for a wave offering, made of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are to be baked with hametz as firstfruits to Adonai. You are to present, along with the bread, 7 one-year-old lambs without blemish, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They will become a burnt offering to Adonai, with their meal offering and their drink offerings, an offering made by fire, a sweet aroma to Adonai. Also, you are to offer 1 male goat for a sin offering and a pair of year-old male lambs for a sacrifice of fellowship offerings. The Kohen is to wave them with the bread of the firstfruits as a wave offering before Adonai with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to Adonai for the Kohen. You are to make a proclamation on the same day that there is to be a holy convocation, and you shall do no regular work. This is a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout all your generations. Now when you reap the harvest of your land, you are not to reap to the furthest corners of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Rather, you are to leave them for the poor and outsider. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai then spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you are to have a Shabbat rest, a memorial of blowing shofarot, a holy convocation. You are to do no regular work, and you are to present an offering made by fire to Adonai. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, However, the 10th day of this 7th month is Yom Kippur, a holy convocation to you, so you are to afflict yourselves. You are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. You are not to do any kind of work on that set day, for it is Yom Kippur to make atonement for you before Adonai your God. For anyone who does not deny himself on that day must be cut off from his people. Anyone who does any sort of work on that day, that person I will destroy from among his people. You shall do no kind of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is to be a Shabbat of solemn rest for you, and you are to humble your souls. On the 9th day of the month in the evening, from evening until evening, you are to keep this Shabbat. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel and say, On the 15th day of the 7th month is the feast of Sukkot, for 7 days to Adonai. On the 1st day, there is to be a holy convocation. You are to do no laborious work. For 7 days you are to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. The 8th day will be a holy convocation to you, and you are to bring an offering by fire to Adonai. It is a solemn assembly. You shall do no laborious work. These are the Moedim of Adonai, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to present an offering by fire to Adonai, a burnt offering, a grain offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, each on its own day, besides those of the Shabbatot of Adonai, and besides your gifts, all your vows and all your freewill offerings which you give to Adonai. So on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruits of the land, you are to keep the feast of Adonai for 7 days. The 1st day is to be a Shabbat rest, and the 8th day will also be a Shabbat rest. On the 1st day you are to take choice fruit of trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of leafy trees, and willows of a brook, and rejoice before Adonai your God 7 days. You are to celebrate it as a festival to Adonai for 7 days in the year. It is a statute forever. Throughout all your generations, you are to celebrate it in the 7th month. You are to live in Sukkot for 7 days. All the native born in Israel will live in Sukkot, so that your generations may know that I have Bnei Israel to dwell in Sukkot when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Adonai your God. So Moses declared to Bnei Israel the Moedim of Adonai. Chapter 24. Then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Order Bnei Israel to bring you pure olive oil, beaten for the light, to keep a lamp burning continually. Outside of the curtain of the testimony in the tent of meeting, Aaron is to keep it in order from evening to morning before Adonai continually. It is to be a statute forever throughout your generations. He is to keep the lamps in order on the pure gold menorah before Adonai continually. Also, you are to take fine flour and bake 12 cakes of it with 2/10 of an ephah of each cake. Then you are to set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, on the pure gold table before Adonai. Set pure frankincense on each row as a memorial portion for the bread, an offering by fire to Adonai. Every Yom Shabbat he is to set it in order before Adonai continually. It is an everlasting covenant on behalf of Bnei Israel. It belongs to Aaron and his sons, so they will eat it in a holy place. For it is most holy to him among the offerings of Adonai by fire, as a perpetual statute. Now the son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among Bnei Israel, and a fight broke out between the Israelite woman's son and an Israelite man. The Israelite woman's son blasphemed Hashem and cursed, so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shilamoth, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. They put him in custody until the will of Adonai could be declared to him. Then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Bring the one who is cursed out of the camp, and let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, and have the entire congregation stone him. Then you will speak to Bnei Israel, saying, Whoever curses his God will bear his sin, and whoever blasphemes the name of Adonai must surely be put to death. The whole congregation must stone him. The outsider as well as the native born, when he blasphemes the name, is to be put to death. Whoever mortally strikes down any man must surely be put to death. Whoever mortally strikes down an animal is to make full restitution, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor, as he has done, the same is done, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Just as he injured someone, as it is done to him. Whoever kills an animal is to make restitution, but the one who kills a man is to be put to death. You are to have one standard of justice for the outsider as well as the native born. For I am Adonai your God. So Moses spoke to Bnei Israel, and they led the one who had cursed out of the camp and stoned him with rocks. Thus Bnei Israel did as Adonai commanded Moses.